Picture this. You have this highly anticipated, well-funded e-commerce store. It launches to the public. The branding is just immaculate. I mean, the typography literally won design awards.
Oh, yeah, like the custom photography looks like it was ripped straight out of the pages of Vogue.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Ripped straight from Vogue. And yet, 90 days later, the founders are quietly liquidating their inventory and shutting down the servers.
It's tragic.
It is. Why does it happen? Because they fell into a trap that is honestly keeping thousands of brilliant entrepreneurs awake at night. They believe that a beautiful store is a profitable store. But we have synthesized a mountain of data, plus our own operational expertise, to bring you a hard truth today. Customers do not buy pretty, they buy clear.
Right.
So welcome to our deep dive on why your e-commerce store looks good but doesn't sell. I'm your host, and I'm joined by our resident operations expert.
Hey, everyone. Glad to be here. And it really is the ultimate paradox of modern digital retail. When you launch a brand, your initial instinct is visual expression.
Totally natural instinct.
Right. You want to build this masterpiece that reflects your taste. But the fundamental mission of this deep dive is to systematically dismantle what we call the aesthetic fallacy.
I love that term.
Yeah. We're going to rebuild a high-converting e-commerce engine from the ground up. And we're going to do that by shifting your mindset right now. You have to stop being a store owner who is, designing for your own ego and become the ultimate customer advocate.
Right, someone who is ruthlessly defending the buyer's time and energy.
Exactly.
Okay, let's unpack this, because the root cause of why these beautiful stores fail, it really comes down to neuroscience. It's about how the human brain actually reacts to, like, microscopic moments of friction.
Oh, absolutely.
Think about the physical world for a second. Let's compare an incredibly artsy high-end boutique to a massive big box hardware store.
Okay, polar opposites.
Exactly. The boutique is a vibe. It has mood lighting, the air smells like sandalwood, there is zero signage, and the clothes are just draped over pieces of reclaimed driftwood.
Sounds like a nightmare if you're actually looking for something specific.
Right. If you are just browsing, it's a fun experience.
Yeah.
But if you are on a mission to buy a specific pair of black denim jeans, you are going to wander around that store deeply frustrated.
Yeah, you'll just walk out.
Now, step into the hardware store. It is aesthetically offensive, harsh fluorescent lighting, stained concrete floors. But if you need a half-inch galvanized bolt, the giant yellow signs hanging over the aisles lead your brain straight to the target.
You find it instantly.
You find it, you get the dopamine hit of solving your problem, you pay, and you leave.
And in the digital space, the hardware store approach dominates. I mean, Amazon is the ultimate proof of this concept. By 2024, they had captured nearly 40% of all U.S. e-commerce sales.
Which is just staggering.
It is. And think about it. Has the Amazon homepage ever won a visual design award?
Absolutely not. It's visually chaotic.
It is totally chaotic, but the architecture is relentlessly functional. Let's look at the friction mechanism in action here. Imagine a shopper. Let's call her Rachel.
Okay, Rachel.
She's on a quick lunch break, actively looking to spend money on a rain jacket. She lands on a stunning boutique site called Velvet and Vine.
Sounds expensive.
Very. The homepage greets her with a massive, high-definition, slow-motion video of a model running through a misty field. It's cinematic, but she has a goal. Where are the jackets?
Right, she's on her lunch break.
Exactly. She scrolls down, and instead of clear product categories, she sees abstract buttons labeled mood, vibe, and essence.
Oof, I've seen sites exactly like this. She probably clicks essence, hoping it translates to a product catalog, but it just dumps her onto like an embedded Instagram feed.
Which is the breaking point. She abandons the site instantly. She goes to a visually boring competitor with a prominent search bar, types in rain jacket, and makes the purchase. Velvet and Vine had superior aesthetics, but they imposed a massive confusion tax.
A confusion tax.
Yeah, every single time a shopper has to pause and decode your interface, you are draining their mental battery.
It's cognitive load. I always compare things like scroll jacking or using overly clever copywriting like labeling a button, explore the realm. Instead of just saying, shop 2, sitting down at a restaurant where the menu is written entirely in riddles.
Oh, that's a great way to put it.
Right. It might be wildly entertaining for the chef who wrote it, but it's as deeply infuriating for the starving customer who just wants to order a sandwich. You are making them work for the privilege of giving you their money.
That is a perfect encapsulation. And the underlying mechanism here is rooted in Hick's law, which is based on William Edmund Hick's research on information processing way back in 1952.
Wow. 1952.
Yeah, it holds up. Hick proved that the time it takes for a person to make a decision increases logarithmically as the complexity of choices increases.
Logarithmically, so it compounds.
Exactly. When you use an abstract icon or a clever label, the user's visual cortex actually have to pause, search his database for a corollary, guess the outcome of the click, and brace for error.
All of which takes energy.
Yes. All of those microcomputations burn glucose. They cause decision fatigue. And our data from the Nielsen-Norman Group shows that roughly 37% of users abandon sites purely because their brain refuses to spend any more energy decoding the navigation.
Wow, 37%.
Yeah.
So clarity trumps cleverness. You must defend the customer's time.
Always.
But let's say we fix the architecture. The store is as clear as a hardware store. The navigation is painfully obvious. You still won't get the conversion if the customer thinks they're walking into a trap. We have to talk about bridging the trust deficit.
Yes, the digital handshake.
Exactly.
Because a baseline state of the modern digital consumer is, frankly, intense skepticism. 2024 data shows that 97% of consumers have active anxiety about shopping on unfamiliar sites.
97%. That's almost everyone.
It is. They are terrified of identity theft, credit card fraud, or, buying from a phantom dropshipper operating out of a basement halfway across the world. You have to actively disarm that anxiety before they will even look at your products.
Which brings us to the About Us page. I feel like this is the most misunderstood piece of real estate on the internet. Founders treat it like a vanity memoir.
Oh, entirely.
They write things like, "I've always had a passion for fashion, so I started this brand." But to the skeptical buyer, that page isn't a diary entry. It is a risk management tool. They are looking for proof of accountability.
Exactly the shifting mindset we were talking about. What's fascinating here is you structured this digital handshake using a highly effective three-part framework: origin, mission, and expertise.
Okay, break those down.
Well, the origin is the human hook. You connect over a shared struggle. Look at the foundation of Patagonia. Yvon Chouinard didn't build a brand by saying, "I love the outdoors."
Right.
He started by hand-forging his own climbing pittons because the existing mass-produced gear was literally destroying the rock faces he loved. The struggle establishes the motive.
That makes sense.
Then you pivot to the mission, which is the standard you refuse to compromise on. Maybe you outright refuse to use synthetic fillers in your skincare line, or you are actively rejecting the disposable fast furniture trend.
I see the power in that for a mission-driven brand. But let me push back on this origin piece for a second.
Sure.
Let's say I'm an entrepreneur just starting out, and my product is incredibly basic. Like, I'm selling high-quality blank graphic T-shirts. Doesn't trying to manufacture some epic dramatic struggle sound inherently manipulative or just completely fake to the buyer?
That is a very fair challenge, and it highlights a common trap. The origin doesn't require melodrama. It requires authentic problem solving.
Okay, so how does that work for a blank T-shirt?
Your struggle with the blank T-shirts could simply be that you were incredibly frustrated by collars stretching out after a single wash. So you spent 6 months sourcing a specific heavyweight cotton that actually holds its shape.
Oh,
Yeah, the struggle is simply the context for your quality control. It proves you care about the details. But, narrative trust isn't enough on its own. You also need visual trust signals, or what we call proof of life, broadcasted across the site.
like a physical address in the footer. Even if it's just a P.O. box or a co-working space, it signals that lawyers can find you if you steal their credit card.
Yes. And you need third-party verification badges natively integrated near your Add to Cart buttons. 83% of consumers actively scan for those security badges.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And the hierarchy of visual evidence is wild. A shaky, poorly lit iPhone video of you actually packing a box in your garage builds infinitely more trust than a glossy, expensive stock photo of a massive, anonymous warehouse.
Because mirror neurons fire when we see unpolished, authentic human movement. We recognize it as real, whereas the glossy stock photo triggers our internal spam filter. Okay, so the digital handshake is firm. The customer trusts us. Now, how do we keep them from getting hopelessly lost in our inventory? This is where we get into wayfinding and the virtual shelves.
Right, and this relies entirely on taxonomy, how you organize your data from broad to narrow. Parent categories, down to child categories, down to grandchild categories.
Right.
A brilliant case study here is Sephora. They realize their customers don't necessarily shop by brand first. Their primary driver is a specific skin concern.
Oh, that's smart.
Yeah, so Sephora organized their primary navigation around concerns like aging, acne, or dryness. They match the shopper's internal monologue, which entirely removes the mental translation step of figuring out which brand solves which problem.
And when building that top menu, you have to respect the biological limits of the human brain. You cannot shove 20 parent categories into your header,
No, you absolutely cannot. You have to operate within the constraints of Miller's Law.
which is,
George Miller's cognitive psychology research established that the magical number for human working memory is 7 plus or minus 2. 7.
okay.
Yeah, if you force 15 items into your top menu navigation, it crosses the threshold into visual noise. The brain literally cannot hold all those options in its working memory to compare them, so the user just feels overwhelmed.
This is why I am such a massive advocate for the beauty of boring labels.
Yeah.
If I am looking for a power drill and your category is literally named drills, my brain recognizes the pattern in a millisecond.
It's frictionless.
Exactly. If you decide to get creative and name the category hole makers, my brain has to hit the brakes, decode the riddle, and verify the meaning. That micro friction is where you lose momentum.
Precision must always win over poetry. Now, assuming they navigate successfully to a category page, your filter stack becomes the most important tool on the screen.
Oh, filters are make or break.
They really are, and I want to focus specifically on the psychology of availability filtering. There is a very specific sequence of events that destroys a sale. A buyer scrolls, falls in love with a product, clicks the thumbnail, and then realizes their size is sold out.
Oh man, it is a massive dopamine crash. They already envisioned themselves owning it.
Right, and that crash breeds resentment toward the brand.
Yeah.
If your filter stack does not automatically allow users to hide out-of-stock items, you are essentially setting landmines in your own store.
And what happens when they apply too many filters and get zero results? A bad no results found page is the digital equivalent of a rude physical store clerk who just shrugs, turns their back on you, and walks away.
Nobody wants that.
No. A highly optimized store acts like a perceptive assistant. It says, hey, we don't have that exact red silk shirt in a medium, but based on that aesthetic, here are 3 beautiful red cotton blends you might love. You have to keep the conversation going.
Keeping the momentum alive is crucial, and that momentum carries them to the product card, the thumbnail image in the grid. This is a micro advertisement.
Okay.
It must follow a strict visual hierarchy. Image first, title second, price third, social proof like star ratings fourth. And crucially, you must maintain consistent aspect ratios.
What happens if you don't?
Well, if one photo is a square, the next is a tall rectangle, and the next is a wide landscape, the grid looks jagged. Subliminally, that lack of visual discipline signals to the buyer's brain that the business is amateur, which instantly degrades the trust you just built.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Because once they click that perfectly proportioned thumbnail, they land on the PDP, the product detail page. And because you cannot physically be standing there to hand the product to them, this single page has to serve as your 24/7 salesperson.
The PDP is the arena where the final rationalization happens.
Right.
The control center is the buy box, the area above the fold. You need a descriptive title, a bold price that serves as a mental cost anchor, and high contrast variant selectors. By the way, always use visual buttons instead of drop-down menus if you have fewer than 5 options.
Why is that?
Because forcing a user to click a drop-down just to see what sizes exist is unnecessary friction.
Makes total sense. But the biggest hurdle on the PDP is what we call the tactile gap. The customer can't feel the weight of the coffee mugs. They can't run their hands over the leather. You have to use visual architecture to replace physical sensation.
Apple is the absolute masterclass in this.
They really are. And the data backs up the effort. The Baymard Institute found that highly optimized product photography yields a massive 94% uplift in conversions.
94%. To bridge that gap, you must deploy 2 distinct types of imagery: validation and aspiration.
Validation meaning the fact.
Yes, validation images appeal to the analytical brain. These are the clean white backgrounds, the multiple angles, the macro close-ups of the stitching. They prove the physical reality and quality of the item.
Got it. And aspiration.
Aspiration images provide the emotional context and scale. A coffee mug on a sterile white background is just a cylinder. But a coffee mug sitting on a rustic wooden table next to an open journal with steam catching the morning light, that triggers mirror neurons. The buyer can almost feel the warmth of the ceramic.
I can literally picture that.
Right. Furthermore, use GIFs to demonstrate mechanics. If a bag has a satisfying magnetic clasp, a 3-second looping GIF of it snapping shut provides a visual proxy for that highly satisfying physical click.
As the customer advocate, I have a strategic question about the copywriting on this page. How do I balance my distinct brand voice, say, if my brand is naturally witty, edgy, or sarcastic, with the absolute necessity for clarity in the product specs?
Clarity must always dictate the hierarchy. Never sacrifice a factual specification for a clever joke. Your copy needs to systematically anticipate and silence objections.
So how do you do both?
The most effective way to do that while maintaining your voice is by aggressively translating features into benefits.
Ah, the IPX7 water resistance example perfectly illustrates this.
Yes, stating this portable speaker features an IPX7 rating is a boring technical feature that forces the customer's brain to go research what IPX7 actually means.
Which is friction.
Exactly, but translating that to you can accidentally drop this speaker in the deep end of the pool without panic is a persuasive benefit. It answers the customer's real-world anxiety before they even have to articulate it.
Okay, so the 24/7 salesperson did their job perfectly. The benefit was clear, the tactile gap was closed, the customer hit add to cart. The sale is basically done. But then 70% of those shoppers just vanish. They ghost us. Why? Because we hit them with the logistical nightmare of checkout friction.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, cart abandonment is the ultimate tragedy of the e-commerce ecosystem. I mean, they already made the emotional decision to buy the item, but the logistics of the transaction ruined the vibe.
It's heartbreaking.
And historically, the biggest culprit of this momentum break is the account wall. Forcing a user to register for an account before they can hand you their money causes 26% of shoppers to abandon their cart immediately.
I always think of this like a bouncer at a club. You are inside, you are having a great time, you walk up to the bar with cash in your hand ready to buy a drink, and suddenly a bouncer steps in and demands a background check and a marriage proposal before you can order.
Perfect analogy.
It completely breaks the momentum. The dopamine of the purchase vanishes, and the rational brain kicks in and says, actually, I don't really need this shirt. This is too much work.
That is exactly the psychological mechanism. ASOS, the massive fashion retailer, proved this at scale. When they finally removed forced registration and defaulted to a guest checkout, their conversions skyrocketed.
I bet.
The modern standard is the account later model. Let them check out seamlessly as a guest. Then, on the thank you page, right when they are riding the dopamine hit of the completed purchase, you simply offer, hey, want to track your order easily? Just type a password here. You've captured the account, but you drop the friction to 0 during the critical transaction phase.
And we have to be absolutely ruthless with the form fields themselves. Execute the kill list. Eliminate address line 2, unless they specifically toggle a button indicating an apartment.
Yes.
Eliminate the company name field if you are a direct-to-consumer brand. Eliminate the confirm email field. Modern browsers have autofill. We aren't in 2004 anymore. Keep the form to a single vertical column on mobile.
That vertical rhythm is crucial for the thumb zone, which we will touch on in a moment. But before we leave the checkout, we have to address the #1 reason for drop-offs, which accounts for nearly half of all abandoned carts. Sticker shock.
Oh, that hurts.
It is a feeling of betrayal. You can never, ever surprise a customer with $22 in unexpected shipping and tax calculations on the final review screen.
And honestly, the best way to bypass the forms, the friction, and the trust deficit entirely is to borrow credibility. You put Apple Pay or Google Pay right at the very top of the checkout flow.
It's a game changer.
Right. The customer doesn't have to type their shipping address, they don't have to find their wallet, and most importantly, they aren't trusting your server security. They are trusting Apple's biometric security. It is essentially a magic button for conversions.
So now, theoretically, the architecture is clear, the trust is established, and the checkout is frictionless. But you still aren't ready to launch.
Wait, really?
No, because the most dangerous phase is right now when your own brain begins to deceive you. You are almost certainly suffering from creator blindness.
Right, pattern completion. Because I spent 3 months building the site, my brain automatically fills in the gaps. I already know where the return policy is hidden, so I don't notice that the link is actually completely invisible to a first-time user.
Precisely. You are hallucinating your own success. To cure this, you need the over-the-shoulder test. You sit down with someone like your neighbor Greg, someone who has never seen the site.
Good old Greg.
Yeah, you assign them a task, Find and buy the red medium jacket, and you stand behind them. The golden rule here is absolute silence. You cannot help them. You watch their mouse movements. Specifically, watch for pogo sticking.
Pogo sticking.
Yeah, that's when they click a category, instantly realize it's the wrong place, hit back, click another, and hit back again. That erratic movement proves your navigation labels are failing in the real world.
And we have to do the thumb zone audit. We know over 80% of cart abandonment happens on mobile devices. You have to ask yourself, can I navigate the categories, add an item to the cart, and complete the checkout using only one hand, using only my thumb?
It's harder than it sounds.
It is. If I have to physically pinch and zoom the screen to tap a tiny variant selector, the site is broken for mobile commerce.
And the final validation is testing the money path. Simulating transactions in a sandbox environment is not enough. You must create a real $1 test item and buy it using your own personal credit card. You have to walk through the entire 5-step cycle. Browse, buy, confirm the success screen, check the actual email receipt for formatting errors, and finally, process the refund.
So what does this all mean? Wait, I have to challenge that last step. I haven't even launched the store yet, and you want me to process a refund on myself? Doesn't that invite bad juju for a brand new business?
It has nothing to do with bad juju. It is about operational readiness under pressure. You need to test your reverse logistics right now. You want to figure out exactly which buttons to click in your payment gateway to process a refund calmly, rather than trying to decipher complex dashboard documentation while a very real, very angry customer is threatening you with a chargeback.
That makes total sense. Prevent the panic before it starts. And once we actually go live, we enter the crucial first 30 days. This is where we have to understand the diagnostic difference between noise and silence.
This is critical.
Noise meaning customers emailing you, asking where the sizing chart is, or complaining that a button doesn't work, is actually fantastic. It gives you the exact coordinates of the friction. But silence, getting 1,000 visitors from your ad campaigns, but 0 sales and 0 support emails, is the ultimate danger sign.
Silence means the friction is so severe they didn't even bother to complain. If you face silence, you use the iceberg model to find the leak. Category drop-off indicates your navigation is confusing or your product cards lack visual trust.
Okay.
PDP drop-off means your 24/7 salesperson isn't translating features into benefits. And checkout drop-off, which is the most painful, means your account walls are too high or sticker shock is betraying their trust.
Wow. Okay. We have covered incredible ground today. Synthesize this blueprint. We started by dismantling the ego of the store owner to become the customer advocate. We structured real psychological trust through the digital handshake.
We cleared the aisles with logical wayfinding and boring labels.
Built a 24/7 digital salesperson that closes the tactile gap and utterly destroyed checkout friction.
And we ruthlessly stress-tested reality to cure our own creator blindness before a single real customer entered the store.
Exactly. But I want to remind everyone listening, an e-commerce store is not a static monument carved in stone. It is a living garden. Version 1.0 is just the starting line. You have to continually weed it, water it, and prune the friction based on the data as you grow.
The architecture is sound, the engine is tuned. Now it's time to actually drive.
But before we sign off, I want to leave you with one final provocative thought to mull over. We spent this entire deep dive optimizing for human psychology, reducing cognitive load, building emotional trust, and smoothing out visual friction for human eyes and human thumbs.
Right.
But what happens to the perfect e-commerce store when humans stop doing the shopping? When AI agents and personal algorithms start browsing, filtering, and buying on our behalf, does pretty matter at all? Or will your store's invisible data architecture be the only thing that actually survives? Something to mull over as you build your version 1.0.